The silver ships appeared without warning in Earth's morning sky. 12 of them, each larger than any human vessel, hovering silently over major cities. Global communications went silent for 6 hours. When they returned, the message was simple: representatives from Earth were invited to meet the Velrani High Command. In Seoul's Emergency Response Center, officials argued loudly. Military leaders wanted to prepare defensive strikes. Politicians demanded caution. Scientists begged for time to study the visitors. In the corner of the room, Senior Ambassador Park sat quietly. Unlike her colleagues, she observed the footage of the alien ships with curiosity rather than fear. At 56, Park had negotiated peace treaties in conflict zones across Earth for 3 decades. She understood first contact when she saw it. "We should send a welcoming party," Park said, her voice cutting through the chaos. The room fell silent. General Lee laughed bitterly. "With what? Our primitive weapons would be useless against their technology." "Not with weapons," Park replied. "With knowledge." She held up a simple data tablet. "Our history, our cultures, our struggles and achievements. Everything that makes us human." The president's advisor scoffed. "They crossed interstellar space. What could they possibly learn from us?" Park smiled. "Perhaps how to make proper kimchi. Sometimes the simplest things are worth traveling across the universe for." 3 days later, Park led a small team into the largest Velrani ship. The aliens towered above the humans, their skin shifting colors like oil on water. Their translator devices hummed as Park approached their leader. The Velrani commander, Toll, studied Park with 4 golden eyes. "Your species responded unexpectedly. Our data suggested humans would react with military force." Park bowed slightly. "Some wanted to. I thought we might try talking first." She offered the data tablet. "This contains our history, the good and the bad. We have nothing to hide." Toll's skin rippled blue with surprise. "Most species attempt to present only their achievements." "Then they miss the point of real connection," Park said. "Understanding comes from seeing both strength and weakness." The Velrani scientists examined the tablet while Park and Toll continued their discussion. Park learned the Velrani had visited 12 worlds before Earth. Most species had followed predictable patterns, either immediate aggression or complete submission. "Humans are inconsistent," Toll observed. "Your records show both remarkable compassion and terrible cruelty." "We contain multitudes," Park said. "It's our greatest flaw and our greatest strength." When the Velrani scientists returned, their skin pulsed with excitement. They spoke rapidly to Toll, who turned to Park with new interest. "Your music," Toll said. "It contains mathematical patterns we've never encountered. And your poetry, it uses language in ways our translators struggle to process." Park nodded. "Art helps us make sense of our world. It's how we process the unknown." "The unknown," Toll repeated. "Most species fear what they don't understand." "We often do too," Park admitted. "But our best moments come when curiosity overcomes fear." As the meeting concluded, Toll made an unexpected announcement. The Galactic Council had sent the Velrani to evaluate Earth for possible membership. Most species required decades of preparation before invitation. "But you have shown unusual potential," Toll said. "The Council will be interested in your perspective." Back on Earth, leaders celebrated the diplomatic breakthrough. General Lee approached Park as she prepared for her next meeting with the Velrani. "I was wrong," he admitted grudgingly. "Your approach worked." Park smiled. "The universe is vast. If we want to find our place in it, we need to lead with our humanity, not our weapons." The next morning, Park returned to the Velrani ship carrying small containers of food, traditional dishes from cultures around the world. "Before we discuss politics," she told the surprised aliens, "we should share a meal. On Earth, that's how friendships begin." Toll's skin shimmered with a new color Park hadn't seen before. Later, she would learn it was the Velrani expression of delight. In all our explorations, Toll said, no species has ever invited us to eat together on first contact. Park smiled. Then the universe has been missing something wonderful. Under the watchful eyes of Earth's population, humans and aliens shared their first meal together. It was a small step, but Park knew from experience that lasting relationships often began with simple gestures. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity had made its first friends among the stars. 6 months after first contact, Ambassador Park stood alone in her quarters aboard the Valrani carrier ship. Through her viewport, Earth shrank to a blue dot as they accelerated toward the edge of the solar system. She touched the window, saying a silent goodbye to her home planet. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal Toll, the Valrani commander. Are you prepared for the jump, Ambassador? Toll's skin rippled with concerned purple tones. As ready as I'll ever be, Park replied, adjusting her formal diplomatic uniform. Though your briefing materials about the Council were limited. The Galactic Council has existed for 12,000 years, Toll said. Explaining its complexities would take more time than our journey allows. Park nodded thoughtfully. Then I'll rely on what I know best, listening before speaking. The ship's alert system pulsed. Park braced herself as the stars outside her window blurred. The Valrani's faster-than-light technology compressed space in ways human scientists had only theorized about. When the stars reappeared, an enormous ring-shaped station dominated the view. Welcome to Nexus Prime, Toll said. Home of the Galactic Council. Park had expected to feel small in the presence of advanced aliens, but nothing prepared her for the diversity of life forms moving through the station's massive docking bay. Beings of crystal, gas, and forms she couldn't describe moved with purpose. Some were giants that could crush her accidentally, while others were so tiny they traveled in hovering containers. There are 47 spacefaring civilizations represented here, Toll explained as they walked. Earth will be the 48th, if the Council approves. And if they don't? Park asked. Toll's skin darkened. Let's focus on success. The council chamber was arranged in rising circular tiers. Park noticed immediately that species were grouped by their technological development, with the most advanced at the top. The human delegation was assigned to the lowest tier. As Park took her seat, a tall, elegant being with 6 limbs approached. Minister Rin of the Exoni nodded formally. So you are the human representative, Rin said, voice melodious despite the translator. Your kind developed quite rapidly from primitive technology. Thank you, Park replied. Though primitive is relative. We're quite proud of our achievements. Of course, Rin said with what might have been condescension. I reviewed your species file. Fascinating how you developed space travel despite your emotional nature. Before Park could respond, the chamber lights dimmed. At the center, a holographic display activated, showing images of Earth from various angles. The grand speaker, a luminous being composed of interwoven energy strands, addressed the assembly. We gathered to evaluate Earth's petition for council membership. The Valrani report recommends accelerated consideration based on unique cultural attributes. A harsh sound interrupted laughter from a reptilian delegate in the mid-tier. What cultural attributes could possibly warrant special treatment? The delegate, Representative Drax, stood. Their technology is primitive. Their spacecraft can barely reach their own moon without breaking apart. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Park felt the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon her. The human may address these concerns, the grand speaker announced. Park rose slowly, remembering Toll's advice, show strength without aggression. Distinguished representatives, she began, it's true our technology lags behind yours. We haven't mastered interstellar travel or gravity manipulation. But technological advancement isn't the only measure of a civilization's worth. She activated her datapad, projecting Earth's artistic achievements, music, literature, architecture spanning thousands of years. While developing our technology, we also created these. Our species imagined journeys to the stars centuries before we could actually travel there. We dreamed of meeting alien civilizations long before we knew you existed. She played a brief excerpt from Mozart, then Shakespeare's words about the nature of humanity, followed by images of the Taj Mahal and Great Wall. Our imagination pushed us forward even when our technology couldn't keep pace. We didn't wait for tools to dream of what might be possible. The chamber fell silent. Several delegates leaned forward with interest. Representative Drax hissed dismissively. Pretty sounds and images don't advance galactic civilization. Don't they? Park challenged. Your own history states the Draxian alliance formed after your ancestor poets created the Unityverses. Imagination preceded your political evolution, just as it did ours. Drax's scales flattened in surprise. The Grand Speaker's energy pattern shifted. The human makes an interesting point. Technology without imagination is merely replication of what already exists. Progress requires both. For the first time, Park felt the mood of the chamber shift. Not acceptance, not yet, but curiosity. It was a beginning. As the session adjourned for deliberation, Minister Rin approached again. You've given the council something to consider, Ambassador Park. Whether that improves your position remains to be seen. Park smiled. Either way, we've already achieved something valuable. What's that? Rin asked. We've started a conversation. Where I come from, that's how all great relationships begin. 3 weeks into the council sessions, alarms blared throughout Nexus Prime. Emergency lights pulsed as delegates rushed to an unscheduled assembly. Ambassador Park followed the crowd, noticing the fear in alien faces, even species she thought incapable of showing emotion. In the chamber, the Grand Speaker's energy form flickered with unusual patterns. We face an unprecedented crisis. The Myth Collective has ceased all communication with Council worlds. Holographic displays showed a distant star system surrounded by strange, shimmering clouds. The Myth were unlike any lifeform Park had encountered in her briefings, a collective consciousness existing as patterns within interstellar gas clouds. They controlled vital trade routes and served as information repositories for dozens of civilizations. Without the Myth network, 17 systems will lose supply chains within days, the Grand Speaker continued. Their silence endangers billions. Minister Rin rose from the upper tier. The Exoni have dispatched our most advanced translation matrix. We will re-establish contact. Representative Drax hissed agreement. The Draxian Alliance has already sent communication probes with quantum entanglement signals. For 2 days, Park watched as the galaxy's most advanced species attempted to contact the Myth. None succeeded. The Exoni translation matrix returned only static. Draxian probes disappeared without data. The mood in the council darkened with each failure. During a brief recess, Park sat alone reviewing reports when Toll approached, skin pulsing with worried blue patterns. The situation worsens, Toll said quietly. Some believe the Myth's silence is deliberate, the first step toward hostility. Park frowned. Has anyone tried simply asking why they've gone silent? Every advanced communication method has been attempted. Advanced, Park repeated thoughtfully. But what about something simpler? When the council reconvened, Park requested permission to address the assembly. The Grand Speaker granted it with visible reluctance. Distinguished representatives, Park began, I've studied the reports of all contact attempts. Each used sophisticated technology that the Myth themselves helped develop. She paused, gauging the room. But what if the problem is with those systems? What if we need a completely different approach? Representative Drax made a dismissive gesture. What could humans possibly suggest that 47 advanced civilizations haven't tried? Music, Park said simply. The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. The Myth exist as patterns, Park continued. From what I understand, they're essentially living mathematics. On Earth, we've long recognized that music is mathematics expressed through sound. Bach's fugues, for example, are mathematical sequences that evoke emotional responses. She activated her datapad, showing musical notation alongside mathematical equations. I propose sending them Earth's music patterns they've never encountered before. Not as a replacement for your methods, but as a supplement. Minister Rin's expression was unreadable. You suggest serenading a cosmic entity with primitive Earth sounds? I suggest offering them a new pattern language, Park corrected. One not dependent on existing communication protocols. After heated debate, the council agreed, not from conviction but from desperation. Park selected pieces spanning human history, ancient tribal drumming, classical symphonies, jazz improvisations, and modern compositions that blended mathematics with sound. The transmission lasted 8 hours. When it ended, the council chamber fell silent, waiting. Nothing happened. Representative Drax approached Park. Your experiment failed, human. As expected. Park maintained a diplomatic smile. Perhaps. But failure is often the first step toward. The chamber's central display suddenly flared to life. Swirling patterns appeared, not random but structured, shifting in ways that seemed almost musical. The grand speaker's energy form brightened. The myth are responding. Technical teams worked frantically to interpret the patterns. Finally, a translation appeared, new patterns. Interesting. Continue. Park felt the collective surprise of the assembly. She sent another transmission, this time poetry set to music, human voices adding another dimension to the mathematical patterns. The response came faster, patterns within patterns. You are not like others. Minister Rin turned to Park. It appears they're responding specifically to your transmission. Over the next hours, a dialogue formed. The myth had withdrawn because standard communication methods had become predictable mathematical patterns repeated without variation for centuries. They had grown lonely for new patterns, new ways of expressing mathematical truths. Earth's music, with its blend of mathematical precision and emotional expression, had caught their attention. They hadn't understood it was communication at first, just beautiful new patterns worthy of study. As the crisis eased, Park found herself surrounded by council delegates eager to learn about Earth's musical traditions. Representative Drax remained skeptical but acknowledged the success. It seems, Drax admitted reluctantly, that your species' emotional approach has unexpected utility. Park smiled. Mathematics without emotion is just calculation. To truly communicate, you need both. Later, the Grand Speaker summoned Park privately. You've demonstrated why the Council needs new perspectives. The oldest civilizations sometimes forget the value of simplicity. We're just happy to contribute, Park replied. You've done more than contribute, the Grand Speaker said. You've reminded us that communication isn't just about technology, it's about connection. After the myth incident, Park's status in the Council changed dramatically. Species that had ignored Earth's delegation now sought her input on diplomatic matters. She was invited to closed sessions usually reserved for elder races. The rapid shift made her suspicious. One evening, as Park reviewed reports in her quarters, her door chimed softly. When it opened, a small being stood there, barely reaching Park's waist, with translucent skin that revealed flowing purple circulatory fluids. Ambassador Sun, Park recognized the representative from Nexus Prime's maintenance species. They rarely participated in council politics. Ambassador Park. May I enter? Sun's voice was barely above a whisper. Inside, Sun placed a device on the table that emitted a soft hum. This prevents monitoring. We have limited time. Park sat down, suddenly alert. What's this about? You've gained influence quickly. Too quickly. Sun's inner fluids swirled with agitation. It concerns those who prefer humans remain controllable. Controllable? Park repeated. I maintain environmental systems throughout the station. I access all areas, hear conversations not meant for others. Sun paused. 3 days ago, I overheard Minister Rin speaking with the Arconian High Minister about Earth. Sun activated a small projector showing star charts. These are resource extraction operations in systems near Earth. All operated by elder species, primarily the Arconians. Park studied the charts with growing unease. These are labeled as cultural exchange in official records. A convenient label. Sun highlighted several planets. These worlds hosted similar exchanges before their resources were depleted. Their civilizations now depend entirely on Council support. The implications hit Park like a physical blow. They're mining these worlds systematically and preparing to do the same to Earth. Sun's fluids darkened. New species are typically guided into specialized roles that benefit elder races. Your unexpected diplomacy disrupted their timeline. Park thought of the technology transfers Earth had already accepted, the infrastructure plans being implemented. We're becoming dependent on their systems. Systems they control, Sun confirmed. Your success with the myth created a problem. Humans are demonstrating too much independence. Why tell me this? You're risking a lot. Sun's translucent form pulsed. My world was once like yours. We trusted. We adapted. Now we maintain their machines while our home planet serves as a waste repository. After Sun left, Park spent the night reviewing Council records with new perspective. She found patterns of resource extraction disguised as development assistance, technological dependencies that created permanent power imbalances, and subtle manipulation of emerging species. The next morning, Park requested an emergency session with the Arconian High Minister. His towering form dominated the private meeting chamber, crystalline structures jutting from scaled skin. Ambassador Park. This is unexpected. His voice resonated from multiple speaking organs. I'll be direct, Minister. Park projected the resource extraction charts. These operations violate sovereignty principles outlined in the membership treaties. The Arconians' crystal structures flashed red. You misunderstand Council dynamics. Elder species provide guidance and technology. In exchange, developing worlds contribute resources. A fair arrangement. Fair would involve transparency. These are labeled as cultural facilities. Semantics. The Arconian leaned forward. Earth is fortunate to receive Council attention at all. Your technology barely functions beyond your atmosphere. You need us more than we need you. Park maintained her composure. Perhaps. But unlike other species you've approached, we evolved without galactic assistance. We've survived isolation before. Are you threatening to withdraw from Council consideration? The Arconian's tone sharpened. I'm suggesting we renegotiate terms. Park activated her data pad, showing alternative development plans. Equal exchange. Technological assistance in return for reasonable resource access, with full transparency. Impossible. The Council has procedures. Procedures that benefit established powers. Park stood her ground. But those procedures were created by agreement, and agreements can be changed. The Arconian studied her with compound eyes. You realize opposing elder species could result in Earth's permanent exclusion? We survived alone for thousands of years, Park said calmly. We can do so again if necessary. An interesting position. The Arconian's voice carried new respect. Most developing species fear isolation above all else. That's the difference you've missed. Humans developed in isolation. It shaped our evolution, our adaptability. Park stepped closer. We're not afraid of standing alone. Perhaps that's why we value genuine cooperation so highly. After a tense silence, the Arconian's crystals shifted to a blue hue. I will bring your proposal to the Elder Council. As Park left the chamber, she received an urgent message from Sun, emergency council session called. Topic: Earth's status. Proceed with caution. Park straightened her uniform and headed toward the chamber, prepared for the biggest diplomatic challenge of her career and possibly of human history. The emergency council session stretched for 3 full days. Park barely slept, moving between formal presentations and private negotiations with key representatives. Word spread quickly through Nexus Prime about the human challenge to established council practices. On the final day, Park stood before the assembled delegates, aware that Earth's future might depend on her next words. The chamber was unusually full, even species that rarely attended sessions had sent representatives to witness the outcome. Distinguished members of the council, Park began, for thousands of years, you've expanded galactic civilization across the stars. That achievement deserves respect. She paused, making eye contact with delegates from multiple tiers. But expansion without evolution leads to stagnation. The elder species have created a system that preserves their advantages while limiting the potential of developing worlds. Angry murmurs rose from the upper tiers. Park continued, her voice steady. Earth proposes a new framework. One where technological assistance is exchanged for fair resource access, with complete transparency. Where developing species maintain their independence while benefiting from galactic knowledge. The Arconian High Minister rose. Ambassador Park suggests dismantling procedures that have maintained peace for millennia. Her species hasn't even mastered basic interstellar travel, yet she would redesign our civilization. Park nodded. We haven't mastered your travel methods because we developed differently in isolation. That's precisely why our perspective has value. She activated the central display, showing Earth's history of adaptation. Humans evolved without external guidance. We made terrible mistakes. We damaged our environment, fought devastating wars, created technologies that threatened our existence. But we also learned to solve problems independently. The display shifted to show Earth's recovery efforts, renewable energy systems, and cooperation initiatives. Most council species developed with guidance from established civilizations. They followed proven paths. Earth had to find its own way forward, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding, but always adapting. Ambassador Sun unexpectedly requested recognition. The small being's voice carried surprising strength. The human speaks truth. My world accepted dependence in exchange for advancement. We gained technology but lost self-determination. One by one, representatives from developing worlds voiced similar concerns. Species that had remained silent for centuries in council sessions now demanded to be heard. The Grand Speaker's energy form pulsed with complex patterns. It appears Ambassador Park has identified a systemic issue worthy of consideration. After hours of debate, a compromise emerged. A reform committee would be established, with equal representation from elder and developing species. Park would serve as the committee chair, a neutral party from a world not yet fully integrated into council structures. As the session concluded, Minister Rin approached Park. You've achieved something remarkable, Ambassador. Few would have risked confronting the elder species directly. It wasn't confrontation, Park corrected. It was honesty. Sometimes that's the most powerful diplomatic tool. Indeed. Rin's expression softened. Though I must admit, when we first encountered humans, we never expected such complexity. We contain multitudes, Park said with a smile. 6 months later, Park stood on an observation deck overlooking Earth. The first phase of Reformed Council integration was progressing well. Earth was receiving technological assistance without surrendering sovereignty, and transparent resource agreements had replaced exploitative practices. Toll joined her at the viewport. The Velrani commander's skin glowed with warm orange tones. You've changed the council, Ambassador. Some say you've changed the course of galactic history. Park watched clouds swirl across her home planet. We simply offered a different perspective. The council needed to be reminded that diversity isn't just about biological forms, it's about different ways of thinking. The isolation theory, Toll nodded. Your species developed without external influence, making you more adaptable and independent than guided civilizations. There's an old Earth saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Park turned to face Toll. When no one comes to solve your problems, you learn to solve them yourself. A notification chimed on Park's communicator, the Reformed Council would be in session soon. Representatives from 12 previously marginalized species were presenting development plans based on the new framework. You know, Park said as they walked toward the chamber, when I first saw those alien ships above Earth, I wondered if humans would lose something essential by joining a galactic civilization. And now? Toll asked. Park smiled. Now I understand we're not joining something fixed and unchangeable. We're contributing to something that continues to grow and evolve, just as humanity has always done. As they entered the council chamber, delegates from across the galaxy acknowledged Park with gestures of respect. The human who had arrived as an outsider now stood at the center of a transforming galactic community. A new beginning, Park murmured to herself as the session began. Not just for Earth, but for a civilization that stretched across the stars, learning, finally, to value the strength that comes from finding your own path.